they are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut. He need cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Karagita, all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, it's Friday, and we are here with our friend, State Senator Mary Kunesh. Always great to have you on. Thank you so much for spending time with our listeners and our viewers all over Turtle Island here, and really love checking in and see what you've been doing. And thank you so much for being on.
Amatakayape, everyone. It's good to see you.
Pinigigi. Hey, so that always, again, I like to bring this up. You get paid as a part-time worker, but your job is full-time plus. And I always like to check in and see what kind of work you're doing during the past week since we've talked. What have you been up to?
It has been a really busy week. I went down to Chicago. There was a conference, the National Council of State Legislators. So legislators from all over the country come together and connect and talk together and try to discuss some of the hot topics of the day. It was really great because I had, maybe a dozen of our Native legislators were there, and we were able to get together for a really nice breakfast and talk about some of the issues that are most of interest for them and within their state. It's always interesting to see how the issues are unique to the state, but then very global when it comes to the nation. And I think probably top of mind was the environmental protections that have been withdrawn by the Trump administration, especially with, like Bears Ears and Chocolate Canyon, those sort of things. But also the threat of data centers. And AI was a big one. Some of the reservations are so remote that they are actually attractive to, these data center Mongols who want to, put huge data centers in places that, probably nobody's going to pay attention to. Because we know that these data centers are becoming more and more displeasing with just about everyone. And I think we saw that here in Minnesota. There's a few that have been put up, especially in, local communities. And I think we were talking earlier that, not just the fact that these data centers need so much water, and the output of it is not clean water. So they're just sucking this poor earth dry. But then there is a constant hum to the building that literally drives people crazy, affects animals as well, and is just, kind of an eyesore in the community. So here in Minnesota and across a lot of the states, they have been pushing back against data centers, and partly is because there's no regulation around them.
Right. It's amazing too, because one of the things that really gave me a red flag, State Senator, was the sneakiness of it, the NDAs and all those things that came about it in these smaller communities.
Yep. And that's sort of, the MO for getting these data centers in. And they do target small communities. Just kind of think of Line 3. So much of this is like deja vu for Line 3 pipeline, where these companies come in, they identify kind of smaller towns, they sort of seduce them with, we'll build you a community center, or we'll you know,
Right.
money towards programs and schools. And, you know, it sounds really good. And for communities that are really struggling, they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Like,
Right.
wow, we need this for our infrastructure. We need this for our schools to survive. We, you know, it'd be lovely to have a big community center. I remember hearing about big oil boom in the Dakotas. And
Right.
oil companies came in, and there was one community, they built a community center that had, I think, an Olympic size pool in it and all this other really great stuff. But then they left. And
Right.
that community was left to support that and keep it up, which was nearly impossible. And they built it because of all the guys and the people that came out to work there during the oil boom. And then once they all left, you know, it's
Right.
a ghost town. So it's a hard situation.
You know what it reminds me of too, and I'm old enough to remember the heyday of this, and it's kind of how Winona LaDuke got her nickname. What was it, Winona No Nukes? It's the same thing with the nuclear power plants that we dealt with in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was another I ran into, and I'm gonna just really be upset with myself for not remembering the sister's name, but she works on the nuclear power side out in the Dakotas.
Hmm.
And we had a really good discussion about how are we going to, you know, we need to be more sustainable with our power and our energy. And there is a big push for more nuclear energy. And it's not like those big buildings that we've seen and that we have here in Minnesota. It's really streamlined, but it's not so much the building. And this is what I have been talking about forever when people come and talk to me about supporting advancing nuclear power plants, is we have to plan for all that spent fuel.
Right.
I mean, all those casks that hold the spent nuclear waste.
Right.
What are we going to do? Where are we going to put those? And they will say, well, these are impenetrable. And, you know, my question is like, how do we move that stuff? Do we move it by train? Do we move it by semi? How do we move it safely? And, you know, I'll hear time and time again that there are safe ways to move it. But then my next question is, where are you moving it to? Who wants to house that stuff?
Right.
So there's just so many questions, and people will sort of poo-poo it or try to make it seem less important than it really needs to be. But for me, until I really have the facts and I know exactly that this is a safe action, I can't find myself supporting a lot of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same thing. Again, you know, these data centers and no nukes and all these things that the short-sighted money grubbing people are really for profit and not worried about, I'm not living there, or maybe they're heading with Elon Musk to another planet because they can afford it. It's just amazing how short-sighted these people can be, and we have to just keep talking about it. I'm really glad that you brought that up. We talk about that a lot here on Native Roots Radio. Hey, we are here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we're talking about her week and things that are affecting all of us here on Turtle Island, especially our Native communities. This is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Ho-ah.
Culture prevents so many negative things from happening to us as individuals and as communities.
Strong roots begin with a healthy heart. For Indigenous women, heart health is part of caring for community, culture, and future generations. Even small steps can help protect what matters most. Discover ways to support your heart at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats, because your heart beats for generations.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovated Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Bobby Wilson. Witcha.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are here with State Senator Mary Kunesh from the great state of Minnesota, and we hear her young grandkids in the background. It's so fun, too, when we talk, State Senator, that I feel like I've helped raise your young granddaughters, and now you got grandsons in there. Oh,
Yes, I have been very, very, very blessed with grandchildren. Those two older girls, of course, are my pride and joy. And now I've got these twin boys, grandsons. One's making his way over here right now.
Oh my gosh! Let's see him. Oh my goodness.
Want to say hi? This is Oscar.
Oscar, what a cute little boy. Yeah, he's wondering what's going on.
I know. I don't know. Remember
Oscar?
the girls used to sit on my lap and got to know everybody on the let me go get the other one.
Oh my gosh. So cute. People, you're missing out here on Native Roots Radio. I just want to remind everyone that we're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Blue Sky. We stream all over, so you can see these young ones. Oh my gosh, they are so identical. He's got a little bigger, rounder head. The one on your right.
Yeah.
Cute.
These are the guys.
Oscar and who?
Oscar and Isa.
They got tie-dye shirts on?
Yeah, they got tie-dye. They have kind of cool parents, I'm not going to lie.
Misko and I should have wore tie-dye then today.
I should have put my tie-dye shirt on this morning, too. I didn't know that I was going to have with tie-dye, but I don't usually color coordinate myself with my grandchildren. Anyway.
Only if you go to the fair with them.
Oh, there we go. That's right.
It was funny, State Senator, and I just got to remind everyone on August 30th, it's Indigenous Peoples Day at the State Fair, and we'll be there for the circle. Will be a chairing, and I think I'll be on NPR for a couple segments, and just to remind everyone. And it was funny, Wendy and I years ago used to make fun of people that wore the same clothes, like we'd see a family with the same clothes, and here we are, 25 years later doing the same thing. It's like, we can wear
that. Around comes around, Robert. Be careful.
Exactly. Wow, they're really interested in hear what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about their future, and that has to do with like voting. We really got to talk about that.
Absolutely. Just to remind everybody here in Minnesota and probably in your own states that early voting has begun for primaries, and primaries are just as important as the general election, because this is really narrows down to who exactly is going to be on the ballot. And so, here in Minnesota, everybody is up for reelection. Well, not the governor. It's going to be a new governor. So our governor is not running for reelection. But so it'll be governor, attorney general, secretary of state, state auditor at those higher levels. And then there's, of course, all of the state senators and all of the state representatives in Minnesota are up for election or reelection. And then there'll be some county positions, judges, things like that. It's a little bit different in each district, but you can get out and start voting now. The general primary election is on August 11th here in Minnesota. But I would encourage folks to get out and vote early if you can. And they're not always, the polling places aren't always at where your regular polling place is. So if you just Google, where can I vote, Minnesota, and they prompt you to put in your address. And usually it's like at a public library, somewhere that's not real intimidating for those that, are nervous about voting to begin in the first place, and they don't want to go somewhere where they don't feel welcome. And it's really, really important. And we have some pretty, challenging campaigns here in Minnesota where good people are up for office, and we want to make sure that we're getting the best one for us that is going to represent us in the best way. I'm going to pop these boys down.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I know state senators brought this up before, sometimes life gets in the way, and we need to make sure that we voted, because things happen, flat tires, things happen. So not only that, it's a good idea to vote early so you can help your relatives to vote too.
Well, that was the other thing, like make a plan for voting. And if you get out and vote early, and then you have time, like on the day of, ask around and say, who needs a ride to the poll, and connect a bunch of people. I got somebody contacted me yesterday and asked if I'd be willing to come over and volunteer for they're getting like all the different tribal groups in South Minneapolis together, and they're driving people to the polls. And I think that's absolutely great. And we have to remember that for the Indigenous community, it has not been, we have not been strong voters in the past, mostly because we've been discouraged, we've been legally prevented from doing it, intimidated, not informed. But there's really no excuse in this day and age why you wouldn't get out and vote, other than perhaps you live hundreds of miles from the polling place and you don't have a ride. But if we want to have a voice in who represents us and those decision making, your power is in your vote. And it's not just on the one day in November, it's now. And for many of us, it's, it can make the difference in the policies and the funding that's going to happen in the future. And we've been really fortunately these last 10 years to have Indigenous people at the legislature that are there to remind everybody about how we've been disenfranchised and lack of investment in our communities. And that's been changing because we have people in those positions.
Yeah, I always talk about that state senator because of my dealings in Wisconsin. And again, we're on civic media all over Wisconsin too. And my surprising, and shouldn't have been surprised, on how well Minnesota handles our Indigenous people and our BIPOC people because of representation. And half your job has been, these years have been teaching people, because again, we talk about not having any of this history really in school.
Absolutely. And that's such a big part of it is the lack of education or the authentic education around, not only our history, but also, how it's been, adjusted to a colonizer view rather than the real, true, authentic piece of information. So we've been able to work on that at the state legislature. And I would be remiss if I did not also say, please, 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 folks, think about running for a role in your community, whether it's council, city council, school board, the state legislature. The House comes up every 2 years for reelection, the Senate every 4. I always say I'm not going to be here forever in the Senate. I like the one Indigenous voice in the Senate. I'm not going to be here forever, and I need help. So, look for ways. And if you're interested in possibly running for office and you have no idea where to start, there are organizations that will help. And reach out to me and I'd be happy to connect you. There's a lot going on out there, and we need to have our voices in that, especially at every level of decision making.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it's a good point. People should start thinking about that too, even if it isn't this cycle. It was great that we had who just got elected. She's been on the show many times. I saw her at the game. Former president of
Shelley Buck.
Yes, Shelley Buck jumping in there and taking care of business, and that's fabulous that we have leaders out there. She started as we were joking. I saw her at the Lynx game, and we were joking that really her story has only started the last 12 years being in Indian government with Prairie Island, and now here we are in state government. So that's a process.
It is. And I started, I was a teacher, and the way I got into it was that my daughter was working on a campaign, and they need volunteers. They need people to do this, that, and the other. And so it was like, Mom, can you do this? Can you do that? And I just sort of started to, learn who was who and what was what and how the process worked, so it wasn't like I jumped in feet first. And then I got more active in my own Senate district and got to know people. And so there are ways to slowly educate yourself and get involved. And it's a lot of work. It can be intimidating, but if you do it that way, at least you're removing a lot of the fear and anxiety and the unknown. So start now, folks. And if you don't know how, let me know, and I'm happy to help you.
Right on. Hey, thank you, State Senator Mary Kunesh from the great state of Minnesota. Really appreciate you checking in and telling us what's going on, really. And I love your grandbabies, and always love seeing you with them in the community. So again, a big pinigigi. Thank you for being on Native Roots Radio.
Oh, woping tanka. Dokche.
Hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. Ho.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Maintaining our health, particularly our heart health, is very important to us as a family.
Your heart gives you time with family, time with community, time to pass down what matters. Protecting your heart helps keep those moments alive. A visit with a healthcare provider can be one step toward a healthier future. Learn more at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats. Your heart health is essential because your heart beats for generations.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Programming is supported in part by Health Partners. If you're age 65 plus and qualify for medical assistance, you may also qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. This all-in-one plan bundles Medicare, medical assistance, prescription drug coverage, and dental coverage into one simple $0 premium plan that also includes $0 medical copays. In addition to saving money, you can get lots of extra benefits and perks, like a dedicated care coordinator, up to $400 each year in rewards for preventative screenings, transportation, a fitness club membership, and more. This can help you live safely and healthy and independently. If you're a senior on a budget, transportation assistance can be huge. Plus, who couldn't use an extra $400 these days? Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
August means the beginning of football season, and Popcorn in Minnetonka has you ready to go with their flavor of the month, beer cheese pretzel popcorn. It's Popcorn's delicious cheesy popcorn made with real cheese, salty good pretzel pieces, all covered in a beer cheese seasoning. The perfect snack for your pro and college preseason ramp up. And get your popcorn in a tin featuring sports and military logos in either 1 or 3 gallon sizes. Visit Popcorn Store in Minnetonka or order online to ship their amazing popcorn across the USA. Go to popcorn.com. That's popcorn.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clearing with a low of 62, then Saturday, sunshine with a high of 84. There's something for everybody at Cafe Latte in St. Paul, from award-winning soup, salad, sandwiches, and desserts to treats from the bakery made fresh daily and a pizza and wine bar. Cafe Latte is located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Victoria Street. Check them out at cafelatte.com. ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hicha, wecha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and hey, we have our friend Tom Weber on, and it's always great to catch up with Tom, what's going on, and I know all our listeners really want to know what's happening. It's great to have you on, and thank you so much, and give us a little update of what's going on with you, and I see you're up in Duluth, and they're just moving and grooving. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks, Robert. I am joining you today from Duluth. Peggy Flanagan, for those who don't know, who I'm married to, who is running for U.S. Senate, is up here in Duluth. We're less than 2 weeks from the August primary election, and she's up here politicking. She's actually with our current U.S. Senator, Tina Smith. Tina Smith, Robert, I think you know this, in her time in the Senate has been a real friend, especially for Indian country. She sits on the Indian Affairs Committee in the U.S. Senate, and she has endorsed Peggy to succeed her in the U.S. Senate. And so, folks think about elections as something that happened in November, but there's always this other election that always happens before the November election. And it's called that primary election. And that is when Democrats face Democrats and Republicans face Republicans. So Peggy is a DFLer, Democrat. It has opposition. And so we have to get her through the August 11th primary with a win so that she can then go and face the Republican in the November election. And I got to tell you, it feels good. Early voting is underway. And so really, the big thing we're focusing on is getting people to vote early if they can. Just as a total sidebar, I personally, just in my own life, had some car trouble the other day, and it wouldn't start, had to get it jump, and all of that. And it really, it throws off your whole day. I'm sure that's happened to you before, and your day's kind of gone. before you know it. And it occurred to me, what happens if that were to happen to me on election day?
Right.
And I hadn't voted yet. Would I still be able to make it in to vote? And so, fortunately, yesterday, so the car trouble was a few days ago. Yesterday, I went and voted. I voted early. So, it's really easy to do. It's just like voting on election day. It's just you're pretty early. And the big website to go to is mnvotes.org. MN like Minnesota, votes.org. And you can find out where you can vote early. And it's a really simple process.
That's awesome. How can people find out more information and hit that support button for
Yeah.
the lieutenant governor? I know one of the things that we've talked about. We had Holly on just earlier this week,
Yeah.
and talking about the landslide of outside money here
Yeah.
and the almost $20 million, and there's a reason for that too.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, there is. There's almost 20 million, as we mentioned. So if you're living and listening and you're in Minnesota, especially in the Twin Cities, you have seen these ads either when you pop up on YouTube or when you're watching just broadcast television or cable. And what it is that those ads are being paid for by what we call dark money. It's corporations, it's billionaires. And in many cases, we actually don't know who is behind the money, which is a little suspect. But we do know that, for example, the cryptocurrency industry, AI, and billionaires, corporations, big oil, APAC, they're part of the funding. And we also know, and I know you spoke with Holly about it this week, but these prediction markets like Kalshi that are out there in the world, they're also helping to fund this because they want someone who will do their bidding in Congress. And so Peggy, when we go to the ballot, when we go vote before or on August 11th, she's up against Congresswoman Angie Craig. And Congresswoman Craig is benefiting from this $20 million in ads because the ads are either anti-Peggy or for Angie, mostly anti-Peggy, because they know that Angie will be with them. And as you know, and as you talked about, Kalshi and these prediction markets are a real threat to tribal sovereignty and to the spirit of Indian gaming in this country. And without proper regulation that keeps Indian gaming firmly afoot, there's some real dark clouds on the horizon, I guess would be my metaphor for tribal sovereignty. And there are other people like Holly who can speak more about that. But that's what's happening here. And, Angie Craig right now is a member of Congress. She's in the U.S. House. 2 years ago, when she ran for re-election to that House seat, crypto spent $1 million in ads for her. And then the very next year, she turned around and voted for crypto's Dream Bill, which became law, and which is the reason why Trump has personally benefited to the tune of more than $1 billion for himself and his family just from crypto.
Exactly.
There are these things called NFTs, which is part of the crypto coin world. Angie Craig is considered such a friend of crypto that they actually made an NFT of Angie.
Yes.
And so that's what we're up against. And so people can go to peggyflanagan.com, learn how to volunteer, learn how to donate themselves. I know you can't donate $20 million, but $20, everyone shipping in $20, that helps as well. And so that's where we come back to the theme here in this race, that this is the many versus the money. And Peggy is the many.
Tom, and we're speaking with Tom Weber, and our, former NPR reporter and also author, and married to the lieutenant governor. I follow a guy named Jeff Pearlman, and I don't know if you know who that is, but he's written a lot of baseball books and sports books over the years and worked for SI. And he talks about, these gambling sites as being, if you can't get behind Indian country, they're dangerous. People can just click on them, and the young males are really losing their hat in these things.
Well, this is the big problem, right? When you don't have regulations and all you have to do is download an app, right? I mean, and then all of a sudden and Robert, these prediction markets are so, whatever. They're kind of so whatever. I could literally place a bet. I could make up a bet
Yeah.
that said, what will be the last word that Robert Pilot says on his
Yep.
show today? Like, it's that silly.
Yeah.
And if I win the bet, whatever, I win the money. But like, wow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gambling as it has existed in this country, if you think about Las Vegas, if you think about Atlantic City, if you think about tribal casinos, those have always existed with specific rules. You need a license to operate. You need to do this. You need to do that. If it's a tribal casino, it has to, be set up by the tribal government, right? And so for a long time, gambling was something you had to physically go to. And so the idea that, yes, that can still be problematic for people. But now if you're literally sitting at home on an app and you're just thinking off the top of your head, what's going to be the coin flip, right, at the football game,
Right.
you can lose a lot of money really quickly, and it's really scary. And without guardrails, it's a problem. And frankly, guardrails that also protect tribal sovereignty and Indian gaming.
Well, and I know you and the lieutenant governor have talked about these AI and also these big buildings with that are
the data centers.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was hard for me to get that out for some reason. Yep, the data centers, and I know it's a big deal because there's quiet money coming in, and a lot of there are no regulations when it comes to small towns making their own deals and sucking up all the
Right.
water.
Well, and the other thing is that a lot of these data center companies come in and they sign a no disclosure form, an NDA. And so if you're on the city council of a community that's never had something this big, you sign this thing, and then you're literally not allowed to talk to the people about this thing that might be built in your community. Like, that just seems very much anathema. But to your point, the big purpose of a data center is to help fuel AI, right? And crypto, right? And all of the places where server space and all these data are needed, you need to build this hub of really energy sucking buildings that can then allow the AI to be in there, and that to allow, because when you're operating AI, when you're operating crypto, it takes a lot of digital energy, but it also takes actual energy. It actually uses the lights in your community the way you would have the lights on at a library. Those data centers need a lot of power.
Yeah, and a lot of the data centers too are going to be cameras pointed at us and really creeping in on our personal stuff. So there is that too, and I don't think a lot of people talk about that.
And it's just part of a bigger thing happening in this country, where a lot of people just feel like they can't get ahead, and in so many ways are getting further behind. They can't afford their lives. Peggy wants to run and help people afford the lives they want to live. And when you think about the way it is, the federal minimum wage hasn't been raised in 16 years. We don't have a paid family leave program like quite literally every other country in a place like Europe does have. You think about that, but then you realize it is that way because someone benefits from it being so. And it's not you, Robert, and it's not me, and it's not any of our listeners. And that's a place where Washington needs a lot of work, right? Because it's controlled by the people who have the money and who have that access, and they're not really looking out for us. And so that's at the heart of what when Peggy talks about the many versus the money, yes, it has to do with the ads and all this money that we've seen coming into this race. But the point is that they're trying to buy this seat. They're trying to buy this U.S. Senate seat. And in so many ways, Peggy is like, nope, we're going to have the people with us, and organized people. This is not Peggy saying, this is a quote that's been around forever, but organized people will always outdo organized money. But the thing is that you and I have to call 5 of our friends, text 5 of our friends. Have you made a plan to vote? Even if you ask someone, what is your plan to vote? They then become more likely to vote. So Robert, what is your plan to vote?
My plan is to vote early, and then I'll be able to help people on the day of the election that haven't voted and drive there. So we're with you on that.
That sounds great. I voted yesterday, and so now I can do the same thing. Text my friends, and let them know, hey, here's how you can do it. mnvotes.org, where you can go to learn how to vote. If you live in the cities, if you live in Hennepin County, most of your cities, your communities, the suburbs will have their own city hall. Like just go to city hall, you can vote. If you live in Ramsey County, there are 4 specific spots you can go in Ramsey County, but all of the places where you can vote early are on mnvotes.org.
Perfect. Tom, thank you so much. I know you're really busy for stopping in and really, talking your truth. And Peggy is for the people, and we all know that, and really excited for the next steps here because things are looking good. Everyone get out and vote. And that was Tom Weber, author, former radio host, and also just all around great guy. Thanks again, Tom.
Thank you, Robert.
Hey, we'll be right back with Misko and
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger. Purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovated Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
Heart health is more than just the physical well-being. It represents like a foundation of vitality, resilience, and the ability to live fully.
Your heart carries stories of resilience, love, and survival. Caring for your heart means honoring yourself and the generations before and after you. It means protecting your ability to gather, laugh, and be present. Learn more about your heart health at hennepincounty.gov/heart-beats, because your story matters and your heart beats for generations.
Hi, I'm Tiergan. And I'm Hadley. We're 2 of the very first listeners, and we're still listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back. This is Native Roots Radio, and I'm glad they're still listening. Hey, this is Friday, and it's time for our Young Woman Warrior segment here. We have Misko coming in here and speaking your truth here about what's happened this past week on Native Roots Radio, but also just in the community. So thanks for producing Native Roots Radio, and thanks for coming on.
Bonjour, Indinoe Magani Duke. Hello, my relatives. The walking on 2-legged, 4-legged, those that fly, and everyone who's driving a car listening. Just want to say happy Friday. We're so happy to get going into the weekend. And this weekend looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. At Indigenous Roots, they're going to be celebrating music, stories, and creativity this weekend. If you check out the Circle News, we just put out something about what's happening. So first of all, what's happening this week is Rock the Res return to the Twin Cities for their 2026 tour. What they do is they host a summer camp for Indigenous youth. This program empowers Indigenous youth, Two-Spirit, transgender, and LGBTQ youth through music, education, culture, performance, social justice workshops, and leadership development. And I know that they will have a presentation of what the youth learned tomorrow, August 1st, at Indigenous Roots Cultural Arts Center, which is 788 East 7th Street in St. Paul. Also happening tomorrow, there's the inaugural Story Lodge, an Indigenous literary and book fair hosted by Mushkiki Studios from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., also at Indigenous Roots Cultural Arts Center. And that event looks so fun. It's a gathering for Indigenous stories, books, language, publishing, art, and community. So come and spend the day with us, celebrating all these Indigenous artists and creators. There's also going to be poetry and spoken word, children's story time, author panels, short story readings, book signings, vendors. It's going to be a really great weekend at Indigenous Roots. And again, let me pull up that address for you guys. That's 788 East 7th Street in St. Paul. It's going to be such a fun weekend over there.
Yeah, definitely. Also, a lot going on this week, but locally, but nationally. Check your calendars out there because we're all over Turtle Island. It's good to talk about what's happening with our relatives all over. We had a lot of fun this week, a lot of information, and we're getting close to an election here. That's very, very important. The primary here in Minnesota. And what else? What did you learn this week? And I know I always learn something here on Native Roots Radio.
Yeah, yesterday we were invited by the Minneapolis Institute of Art to host our show during their summer series event. And so what it is, it's like a weekly event at the Minneapolis Institute of Art. I did not even know this was going on. And so I just want to give them a shout out for inviting us. It was super fun. Check out yesterday's episode on YouTube. If you want to re-listen to our show from yesterday, but they have performances every week. They have people coming out and speaking, activities for the whole family, and it just seems like a really fun time over there at the Minneapolis Institute of Art.
Yeah, good one. And we had Jada, downtown Jada Brown on, and we had seen her earlier at the Hot All My Four Sisters Market, and she was doing karaoke and singing, and it was really fun. I re-listened to the broadcast music, and she sounded great on the radio singing.
Yeah, her voice is so smooth like butter.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, and today too, really important. Always great to hear from the state senator Mary Kunesh. And then we had the opportunity to talk to Tom Weber. These people are plugged into what is happening with us politically, and so really grateful to have them on and give us this information and how important it is to go out and early vote.
Yeah, and again, just register online, through all of the guests that we've had on. I've learned so much over just the past few weeks. I'm trying to encourage my relatives, to go online and just register and figure out where your nearest, place to vote is.
Yeah.
I'm still learning, every day, but I know I'm supported by my partner and by my family, and I just, I feel supported by Native Roots Radio, and I just am grateful to be able to learn about like using our voice and, using our vote, even if it's just one person. We can only do so much by ourselves, but if we get each other to vote and our families, there's so much more we can do as a community. And just, encouraging everyone to register, encouraging everyone to early vote. I think I'm going to start looking into that now. Otherwise, just making sure I'm getting out to the polling place and my family as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. And it's a good reminder. And I'm glad we talk about it every time because it is a good reminder. It's a good reminder for me, too. And Wendy, we will definitely be going out voting early because things do happen and you plan on doing stuff and life happens, whether it's a flat tire. And how important we've talked to people this week about how important just one vote matters. If 50 people feel that could swing everything, and that could change the trajectory of everything that is happening. If that one vote and that one person loses to a certain person, things change, and it's that thin a line. So your vote and our votes and everybody's vote really, really does matter. And I can't say it more because I truly believe that. And I don't know if I believed that 30 years ago,
100%. And again, just want to give flowers to the generations before us who fought for our rights to vote and fought for our rights to be citizens here on our own land. So, again, I always talk about walking into worlds. As much as I want to learn my language and pass on my cultural traditions, it's also important to make sure that we have rights and we protect those rights to be able to practice our culture, practice our spirituality, and exercise our right to vote.
Absolutely. That's some good words there. One of the things that I think that isn't taught in schools is about sovereignty and, sovereignty that the tribes have. It's like the United States dealing with France or Italy or, they're a sovereign nation, and so are the 500 plus recognized tribes in this country of the United States and Turtle Island. So we'd like to bring that up because natives do know that, but some of our allies that listen to the show might not, and so we would like to bring that up.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly mention a few facts. So in 1920s, that's about 100 years ago, the 19th Amendment guarantees women the right to vote, but many Native women were still excluded from that. In 1924, the Indian Citizenship Act grants U.S. citizenship to Native Americans. So barely over 100 years ago, we became citizens. In 1948, Mexico and Arizona removed major legal barriers that prevented Native people from voting. And in 1965, Voting Rights Act prohibits racial discrimination in voting. And later amendments strengthen protection for Native voters, including language assistance in some communities. So today, while the Native turnout continues to grow and tribes' voting rights organizations still work to address those barriers. Us as individuals, we need to support our families, we need to support our friends in registering, helping educate on why it's important to vote, and getting out the vote.
Great words. Really appreciate you, and I know our listening audience and people watching us on Facebook, YouTube, X, Blue Sky are really appreciating you. Hey, thanks again, Pinigigi Misko, for all the work you do for our community and for Native Roots Radio and the Circle.
Oh, I'm just grateful to be here.
Right on. We'll see everyone.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe.